I am the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So today, the Tyranids are definitely having a good time on this rubble-strewn planet, eating all kinds of people, but today they've run into a different kind of foe, the Thousand Suns, so we'll see how they do about that. So before I bought the Death Guard Combat Patrol, I bought a regular Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol, and with the intention of painting them up like Iron Warriors, so that way I'll have 4 Heretic Astartes factions. And this is a halberd that I put together out of that box set, so the rest of the guys are mostly put together. I'm just being kind of lazy about it. Alright, so this little 4-foot playing area here is what we'll be using for our rubble-strewn planet today. Plenty of nooks and crannies and whatnot. So here we have today's Thousand Suns grouping. This is all I have for Thousand Suns currently, so should be a good time. So we have an Exalted Sorcerer floating around on his little green smoke. He knows Warp Time and Glamour of Tzeentch. And we got a regular Exalted Sorcerer just walking around. And he knows Weaver of Fates and Diabolic Strength. And then the Exalted Sorcerer on the Disc of Tzeentch. He knows Prescience and Weaver of Fates. Okay, so we have 3 10-man units of Zangors. The first one here has all Zangor blades. 9 of these guys in the middle have the auto pistol and chainsword, and the guy with the blades is the twist bray. Then all of these guys have the auto pistol and chain sword, but I haven't figured out a twist bray for them. So then we have 10 Rubric Marines, and their sorcerer knows Tzeentch's Firestorm. Then we got 4 Rubrics with Flamers, 4 with the bolt pistols, and then 1 with the Soul Reaper cannon. 2 Scarab Occult Terminator squads. Both of these guys know Doom Bolt. This one has the Heavy Warp Flamer and the Hellfire Missile Rack. This one has the Soul Reaper cannon and the Hellfire Missile Rack. These guys will just be hanging out in their teleportarium, just waiting to come in at the opportune time. And then a Thousand Suns Rhino with a Havoc Launcher and the Combi Flamer, I think. And these 10 Rubrics will be riding around in the Rhino. So yeah, there's my 1000 Suns for this experience. Man, they know a lot of Psyker stuff. Alright, so we got this grouping of Tyranids wandering around the planet looking for stuff to eat. Then we got a ground-bound Hive Tyrant, who knows Onslaught and Catalyst. A Tyranid Prime. A Bird Lord, who knows Onslaught. 6 Ripper Swarms. These guys will be digging around in the ground waiting to pop out. A whole lot of Termagants. So 12 of these guys have the Spine Fists. And the ones that don't actually have guns have Devourers. They're just not on there yet. We got 10 Gene Stealers, and then another 6 Gene Stealers. And then the big blob of 7 Tyranid Warriors. Alright. So we got that for Tyranids. This is probably going to be a fun game. I'm thinking it may be a short game, but it'll at least be a fun game. So, never vote Tyranids, I say. So, Thousand Suns are my pick to win this, but the bugs do have a lot of bugs. So, I guess we'll see. Alright, I'm going to roll for deployment, do the setup, and we're going to play this awesomeness to the end. The Tyranids won the roll-off for deployment and decided to start in this corner. So all of the Termagants are out in the front there with the hive tyrant and the tyranid prime in the corners with all of the tyranid warriors in the back corner. The big blob of gene stealers deployed up here by the pillar. Broodlord just a little bit away from them. And the last group of 6 gene stealers way out of synapse over here. So that puts 1,000 suns into this corner. So all 3 sorcerers out front. All 3 units of the Zangors behind them. Rhino with the rubrics in it on the far right side. Terminator's hanging out. Sadly, 1,000 suns did not steal, so that'll make it the Tyranid's turn. So round 1, Tyranids movement. Alright, so every Tyranid advanced. Some of them got really far. I mean, the Gene Stealers were already really close anyway, but now they're really, really close. Tyranid Warriors got a bad advance roll. They're still way at the back, but everybody else really got pretty far. So Psychic Phase, the Broodlord's gonna just do a smite onto this Exalted Sorcerer. It's off on 5. Gets it. Trying to deny that. I'll knock the other guy over. He does in fact deny it, so screw you, Smite. Shooting Phase, the guys with guns all have heavies. They all advanced. Those guys are pistol, those guys are assault, but they're too far away. So yeah, no shooting over here. Nobody did onslaught, so there's no charges. So really, that's all they can do. That'll make it the 1,000 Suns' turn for movement. Alright, so the mostly unpainted Zangars just moved forward, and the mostly painted ones advanced forward. The Exalted Sorcerers all just moved up a little bit, and the Rhino moved up over here to maybe take on those Gene Stealers. I don't know. So for the Seger phase, the guy floating on smoke is going to try and manifest warp time on these Zangars. Goes up on a 6. He does get it. The Broodlord does not want to, try and deny that. So I'll move those guys in a second. So the guy that's on the disc is going to try and manifest Diabolic Strength on these guys. That also goes up on a 6. Which he gets with a 9. So the Broodlord is going to try and deny that. Manages to perils on the attempt. Alright, I'll move these guys, and we'll come back in a second. Alright, so the Zangars have just moved up 6 inches closer to the Broodlord. So that'll take us to the 1,000 Sun shooting phase. I felt for a second like I was playing Orcs for a second there. I felt for a second twice. So the Zangars and the Exalted Sorcerer on the disc shot everything they had at the Broodlord and did nothing at all to it. And the Rhino and the other Exalted Sorcerer dumped everything they had into these Gene Stealers and also did absolutely nothing. So charge phase will be these Zangars into this Broodlord. I hope to make it. Now I really have seen it all. The Zangars definitely made their charge, and because of the Diabolic Strength and the Relic Hunters, Broodlord being a character and all, yeah, they absolutely murdered the crap out of it. Murdered the crap out of it. Did more damage to it than it actually had health to, lose and stuff. So, yeah, that was super crazy and awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be gushing about this for a little while, I think. That'll make it the Tyranid turn now for movement. The Tyranids continue to push forwards as quick as possible. These front termagants, hive tyrants, just moved forward. Everybody here in the back advanced forward. Those guys. These guys just are hanging out. We're gonna probably charge into the rhino. And these Gene Stealers moved up. Psychic powers. Yeah, I can't really think of anything that would be helpful with this phase. So we'll just go to the shooting phase. The tyranids are not shooting like the orcs. It's super weird. The hive tyrant and the tyranid warriors did about 4 damage to the rhino with their guns. And then the grouping with the spine fists and the ones that were pretending have the devourer managed to kill off 6 of the Zangors here. That was super crazy, actually. I guess the Chaos Dice are not liking me at all today for whatever reason. That'll make it the charge phase, though. So the Hive Tyrant is definitely going to charge into these Zangors. Gene Stealers here are going to charge into the Rhino. And then these Gene Stealers are going to multi-charge into the mostly painted Zangors and the Exalted Sorcerer. Alright, craziness is about to ensue. Well, everybody did make their charges. The Hive Tyrant most especially killed off all of the Zangors that were here. These Gene Stealers did 5, but got the Rhino down to 1, and it didn't kill any of them. These Gene Stealers most definitely made their charge, and they absolutely killed the Exalted Sorcerer and all of the Zangors. It was craziness. So yeah, that'll take us to the Thousand Suns turn. I feel like we've got some desperate times going on for the Thousand Suns right now. So all the rubrics hopped out of the Rhino, which then fell back to this little area here. Both these sorcerers are just going to hang out. The Zangors are just going to stay here. The grouping of Scarabicol Terminators with the Heavy Warp Flamer popped in over here, and then the Soul Reaper Cannon ones popped in over here. Which takes us to the Psyker phase. The long phase. I feel like I spend more time on this phase for Thousand Suns than I do for Thousand Suns shooting. The Aspired Champion here is going to do Doom Bolt onto this grouping of Termagants. Goes off on a 9. Holy crap. It actually went off. It almost never does. D3 wounds. 1 dies. So this Aspiring Sorcerer is going to also do Doom Bolt onto these Gene Stealers. Wow. Got it with an 11. Weird. Kills 2 of them. So, where's he at? The Aspiring Sorcerer that's in that grouping right there, I believe he's the one in the middle. He's going to do Tzeentch's Firestorm on these Gene Stealers. Gets it on a 7. Alright, that's an 8. So the Hive Tyrant is going to try and deny that. And she does with a 12 and a Perils. That's super awesome. Alright, so I guess we're not going to do that then. So the guy on the disc is going to do Prescience and try and manifest it on these Astartes here. Gets it on a 7. They get it on 11. These guys are a +1 to hit. So the guy on the green smoke, I guess we're going to do Glamour of Tzeentch on the Rhino. Gets it on a 7. Gets it on an 11, so the Rhino is now -1 to hit. I do believe that is everybody. Yeah. Alright. The entire reason why I'm playing Thousand Suns is because it got so many psychers and so many possibilities for happy bonuses. Good times. The shooting phase then. The Rubric Marines here managed to completely kill off the Gene Stealers that were over in front of them. The Zangors killed off a couple of these Gene Stealers, as did these Terminators. This grouping of Terminators killed off a couple of these Termagants over here. Not a whole lot of shooting, really. Charge phase. These Zangors are definitely going to charge into these Gene Stealers. That's the sigh of long suffering. Should I charge the Hive Tyrant with the Exalted Sorcerer? I don't think I should. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Just the Zangors into the Gene Stealers. So, charge and fight phase. Zangor successfully charged the 3 inches they needed to go. They did actually manage to kill off all of the Gene Stealers, so that's a plus in the right direction. Unfortunately, there's still all of that still coming. And it is the Tyranid's turn for movement. Alright, so the Hive Tyrant has moved way up here in the middle of the 1,000 Suns grouping. These Termagants and the Tyranid Prime are heading over to the Terminators. These two groups of Termagants just moved forward to get closer to this side, I guess. And these poor Tyranid warriors, they advanced again. They're still kind of maybe to the middle of the board. Don't see a need to pull out the Ripper Swarms just yet. Psychic phase, I guess. And the Hive Tyrant's gonna smite these Zangors. It's off on 5. Gets it on a 5. So the Disc Sorcerer will try and deny that. Denies it with a 6. Okay. Well, that's why we love denying stuff. Yay, Psyker powers. So we'll do some Tyranid shooting instead. Not really instead, but next, you know. Alright, well that was crazy. A whole lot of shooting, a whole lot of wound saving, and in the end, the Hive Tyrant destroyed the Rhino. Thankfully it did not explode, but you know. So the charge phase will be this Hive Tyrant charging into the Zangors, and these Termagants charging into these Terminators. So charge and fight. Well, the Termagants and the Hive Tyrant made it in. The Termagants lost 3 to Overwatch. They didn't do any damage to the Terminators, and then the Terminators just cut them all in half. Hive Tyrant did not suffer any damage in Overwatch. Killed 4 of the Zangors, and they only did 1 damage back. I call that pretty decent. They actually managed to make their morale save too. Surprising. Well, that being said, that'll take us to the 1,000 Suns turn. Movement. The Zangors have fallen back away from the Hive Tyrant. These Terminators have come closer to the Hive Tyrant. These guys are getting closer to the Tyranid Prime. The Cold Sorcerers just scooted over a little bit, and the Rubrics got closer to the Termagants over here. So for the Psyker phase. So the Sorcerer here is going to try and manifest Tzeentch's Firestorm on these Termagants. Goes off on a 7. Does not get it with a 5. So the Exalted Sorcerer that's on the green smoke. Gonna try and manifest Warp Time on these Rubrics. Gets it with an 8. I'll move them in a second. So this guy is going to get try and manifest presence, also on the rubrics. Gets it on a 7. That's a 9. So these guys are +1 to hit. This Scarab Occult Terminator Aspiring Sorcerer. That's a really long title. Gonna try and do Doom Bolt on the Hive Tyrant. Gets it on a 9. It actually got it on an 11, so it's gonna try and deny that, which absolutely fails. So he takes D3 damage. 1 damage. Sorry. So the Aspiring Sorcerer here, gonna do Doom Bolt onto the Tyranid Prime, which he does not get with a 6. Alright, so I'm gonna move these guys forward. They're 6 inches. No, they only go 4. 4 inches. I'm gonna move these guys forward the thing, and then we're gonna do the shooting phase. So both of these exalted sorcerers managed to kill one of these termagants. So it took the entire squad, but they did manage to kill off all of the termagants that were in front of them over there. It took this entire grouping to kill off the Tyranid Prime. These guys did a little bit of damage to the Hive Tyrant. Charge phase. You know, I think this exalted sorcerer on the disc is going to charge into these termagants. So the exalted sorcerer made it. He took some damage in Overwatch. Killed 4 of the termagants, and they didn't do anything at all because they have guns and not claws. Alright, so that makes it the Tyranid turn. So movement. The Hive Tyrant has moved over to threaten these Terminators. Tyranid Warriors finally close enough to a target that they can move close to these Terminators. The Ripper Swarms have popped out of the ground behind the Tyranid Warriors. Terminagants are just going to hang out in combat with this guy. Psychic phase. We're not going to do a psychic phase. So we'll do a Tyranid shooting phase. So the Tyranid Warriors actually managed to kill off one of these Terminators. The Hive Tyrant also killed off a Terminator, which will take us to the charge phase. The Hive Tyrant's definitely going to go into these Terminators here. And then the big blob of Tyranid Warriors is going to charge into these Terminators here. The Rippers are 9 inches away. Yeah, why not? I'm going to try and get these Rippers into this Exalted Sorcerer over here. And these guys are already in combat with the Termagants. Alright, so we'll see what models are left at the end of the fight phase. We'll see how it goes. The Ripper Swarm did not make its charge, but the Tyranid Warriors and Hive Tyrant did. The Tyranid Warriors managed to completely annihilate the Scarab Occult Terminators that were here. Hive Tyrant only managed to kill 1 and took a point of damage in return. Regular stuff. The Termagants did get this guy down to 1, but he killed 3 of them, so it hurt him to do that. Alright, well, with all of that out of the way, that makes it the Thousand Suns turn. For movement, the Exalted Sorcerer on the disc has fallen back away from the Termagants. The one on the smoke moved up a little bit. The remaining Zangors have moved up behind the Hive Tyrant. These Terminators are just going to stay in combat. And the rubrics are coming around the corner towards the Termagants. So for the psychic phase, this Terminator, aspiring champion dude, I try and do Doom Bolt on the Hive Tyrant. Goes off on a 9. That's not a 9. Alright, so Zinch's Firestorm from the rubric into these Termagants. Goes off on a 7. That's not a 7. Alright, so the one on the disc, he fell back, so I think he only gets to do 1. So he's going to try and do prescience on these guys. Goes off on a 7. Gets it on a 9, so these guys are +1 to hit. And the guy on the smoke. I guess I'll try and do Glamour of Zinch on the wounded Astartes here. Goes up on a 7. Does not get it with a 5. Alright. Well, now we got all of that awesomeness out of the way. That'll take us to the Thousand Sun shooting phase. Alright, so lots of bullets were fired, but in the end, the Rubric Marines killed off these Termagants. Charging phase, so giggling as I say this, these Zangars are going to charge into this Hive Tyrant. And then, the regular fighting phase where the Terminators actually also get to fight. The Zangars made their charge, did a point of damage. The Terminators did a couple more points of damage, and the Hive Tyrant just killed all the Terminators. As if their armor was made out of paper. That'll make it the Tyranid turn. Movement. Alright, the Hive Tyrant has just turned around for the aesthetic. The Tyranid Warriors have moved over towards the rest of the Thousand Suns over here, as has the Ripper Swarms. Still not going to do a Psyker phase, so yeah. That'll be the Tyranid shooting phase then. So the front row of Ripper Swarms killed up a couple of the Rubric Marines. And then the Tyranid Warriors all have guns, killed off 3 more of them. So the charge phase. The Ripper Swarms are going to charge into the Rubrics. The Tyranid Warriors are going to multi-charge into both of the Exalted Sorcerers. This guy's already in combat with the Zangors. This could be the last hurrah. Maybe, we'll see. So the Tyranid Warriors and the Ripper Swarms both made their charges. Nobody took any damage in Overwatch. The Tyranid Warriors absolutely, added the Exalted Sorcerers to the biomass thingy that's going on. The Ripper Swarms actually managed to kill off 2 of the Rubrics and only took a little bit of damage. And this Hive Tyrant killed off 4 of the Zangors and suffered no return damage. That'll make it the Thousand Suns turn. They're probably not going to live past this turn. Oh, okay, no, they're going to live past this turn, but they're not going to live past the next turn. Out of the way. They're not going to move. Only one guy over there has a gun. He can still do Zinch's Firestorm, though, or at least attempt to do that. So that goes off on a 7. It actually went off. Alright, 96. So it's going into the Ripper Swarms. Every 6 is a mortal wound. There's a 1-6 in their grouping, so they take 1 wound, going down to 1. Alright, shooting phase. Only the Zangors can shoot, so we'll give it a shot. Alright, so I forgot that the Aspiring Sorcerer does have a pistol. Did use his pistol. He did actually manage to kill off the very wounded Ripper Swarm that was over here. The Zangors did not manage to do anything with their pistols. There's no need for a charge because these guys are already in combat, so we'll deal with their fight phase. The Zangors didn't do anything to the Hive Tower except die. And these guys didn't do anything to the Rippers and lost another one of their River-Burning brothers. Which is the end of their turn. And they're the last two alive. And it's the Tyranid's turn for movement. The Ripper Swarms have fallen back, and the Tyranid warriors have moved over. Still no need for a psychic phase, so the Tyranid shooting phase, which is probably going to kill off these rubrics. I thought for a second there I was going to have to use the Hive Tyrant to kill these guys off, but they did manage to do it, the Tyranid warriors. So that means the Tyranids have won against the Thousand Suns for this game. The Thousand Suns definitely did a number on these guys, killing off a whole lot of them. I'm super glad that the Psyker powers worked a lot better in this game than they did in the last game I used with Thousand Suns. They really did work well in that game. I am liking the variety, I suppose, of Psyker powers available, and glad once again that I'm not playing 10th. Yeah. Yay me. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. We're over 100 now, so the next goal is 200. Yeah. I hope y'all are with me on that particular journey to the end. Yeah. Thanks and have a good day.